Good evening. Who am I speaking with?
To monitoring and recording. Thank you for using GTL.
Good evening.
Hello.
Good evening.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Who am I having the pleasure of speaking with?
Thelonious Cersei.
How you doing, Mr. Cersei?
All right.
I have a series of questions I would like to ask you regarding your case if you have some time.
Yeah, I got enough time.
All right. My first question is, do you feel that Third Circuit Chief Judge Timothy Kenny was fair and honest when it comes to your case?
No, I feel he's biased.
Can you explain your reasoning?
Just based on his opinion, it was factual information that was produced during my evidentiary hearing that shows that the Detroit police tampered with ballistic evidence in my case and he failed to address it. And I also had an actual guy who committed the murder of Jamal Secrets and the shooting of Brian Minner confessing to this case along with his co-defendant, and he failed to address the information properly and honest. So no, I don't feel he's fair.
How do you feel about Judge Timothy Kenny's December 3rd, 2018 opinion on your case?
I feel he protected the prosecutor's office as well as the Detroit police by not addressing the forensic evidence in my case.
What do you
the confession of Mr. Mothers.
What do you think his reason for not addressing the ballistic evidence in your case was?
Can you repeat that again?
I said, what do you think his reasoning was for avoiding the ballistic evidence in your case?
Because he had a hand in the ballistics. During my trial, my volume 5, May 6, 2005 trial transcripts, the jury asked a question to the judge as it relates to the type of weapon that killed the deceased. The judge told the jury in my case that both attorneys, meaning my trial attorney, Robert Mitchell, and the prosecuting attorney, Patrick Muscat, agreed that the bullets that were recovered from the deceased's bodies were too foreign to determine the type of caliber. And that was a lie. 14 years later at my evidentiary hearing, the bullets were revealed to be a 40 caliber bullet. So that's the reason why I believe that he avoided answering the ballistics. He didn't want to acknowledge that I deliberated on a lie.
Okay. Do you think that Judge Kenny knew about DeAnthony Witcher's uncle, Mr. Michael Witcher, being placed in your bullpen while you were awaiting your evidential hearing May 9, 2018?
Yes, I do. Because on this particular day, his courtroom deputy outlaw was calling for Witcher to be brought down from ICU while my hearing was going on. Every time that I heard the last name Witcher, I would ask my trial attorney, my evidentiary hearing attorney, Michael Desi, was DeAnthony Witcher coming in to testify against me? And he was like, no. So I then in turn told Michael Desi that I keep hearing Judge Kenny's courtroom deputy outlaw mention the name Witcher. So Desi asked the prosecutor, which was Thomas Chambers, is DeAnthony Witcher testifying? Thomas Chambers said no. I turned around, I told Desi, I said, yes, he is, because the courtroom deputy keeps asking for Witcher. 10 minutes into this hearing, my attorney asked for a recess because he had a kidney stone. When I went into the bullpen, there was a fourth guy in the bullpen that wasn't in there 10 minutes 10 minutes before I was previously brought into the courtroom, there was only 3 guys in there. Those 3 guys were a guy named Jonathan Johnson, a guy named James Davis, and a guy named Clifford Bernard Thomas. All 3 of us had to see Judge Kenny. But when I came back, there was a 4th guy in there. And the 4th guy asked me, how was my case going? I didn't know the guy. So I asked the guy if he asked me about my case. One being, that's something that you don't ask another prisoner or convict how your case going, especially in the Wayne County jail where they're known for recruiting informants to jump on. So I sat there a while and I watched the guy try to hide his ID bracelet, which identifies your last name. And I asked the guy where he was from. The guy said he was from Mac and Gray. When he mentioned Mac and Gray, I knew that this was the guy who the courtroom deputy had been trying to call on the phone to get down to the bullpen. So, yes, I do believe that Judge Kenny knew, as well as Thomas Chambers knew, that this guy's uncle was placed in the bullpen during my hearing. The only logical reason I feel that he was placed in that hearing is that this guy either had a wire on or they was expecting me to do something to this guy. That was the only reason that I could see want to place this guy in a bullpen with me.
Okay. What lies did the prosecutor Thomas Chambers tell during your evidential hearing?
First lie he told was he stated that the victim in this case, Jamal Seegers, was killed with a .45. It was proven by David Dallas, Patricia Little from the Wrongful Conviction Integrity Unit, that the shell casing that was recovered from the victim's body was a .40. During my trial, once again, they told my jury that they didn't know what kind of gun killed the deceased, when in fact they knew that the guy was killed with a .40. The second lie he told was he stated that there was .45s on and around the victim's Corvette. In my investigative report, it states that the .45s were located on the side of a store on Wolfhorn and Connors. On and around and the inside of the Corvette were .40 caliber shell cases. The investigative report shows this. This prosecutor, not only did he say this 2 or 3 times, he mentioned this 4 times on the record that he was killed with a .45. Jamal Seegers was killed with a .45, and it was a lie.
What about Sergeant Patricia Little? Did she tell any lies during your evidential hearing?
Sergeant Patricia Little came in. The first lie she told, she said the shell casings that came out of the Jamal Seegers' body fell onto the Wayne County Medical Examiner floor. This was a lie. Dr. Carl Smith and Dr. Gupta in their Wayne County Medical Examiner report stated that they extracted 4 shell casings from the deceased's body, and they turned them over to a DPD sergeant named David Moore. Nowhere in this Wayne County Medical Examiner report does it state that any shell cases that came from the deceased fell into the Wayne County medical floor. The second lie she told was she stated that I have a laboratory inventory sheet from the ballistics that was collected on the night of the shooting. And it's dated 9/6/2004. The officer names on there is Wayne Pritchard and Lloyd Allen, as well as David Punch. On the night of the shooting, they collected 40s, 45s, and 9mm. Well, Ms. Little testified that she believed the 9mm was just simply a data entry. This is in direct conflict to the actual exhibit stating and showing that it was a 9mm collected. Once she found out that we had an actual receipt showing that it was a 9mm generated on the night of the shooting, they allowed her to come back and testify on May 15th. And she had to admit that the evidence tag that was marked 9mm N40, and she admitted on the record that a 9mm was generated on the night of the shooting, as well as Sergeant William Anderson, who was the head homicide guy that was on my case. He also admitted that a 9mm was generated. So those are the lies that she told.
My next question is, what type of motion did you file in the court before Judge Kenny?
I filed a 770.1/6.502G motion. 770 deals with actual innocence. Say under MCL 770.1, the court may grant a new trial to a defendant for any cause which by law a new trial may be granted when it appears to the court justice has not been done on the terms or condition as the court directs. (6.502G) is dealing with newly discovered evidence and retroactive change of law, as well as a motion to grant relief. So that's the kind of motion that I filed.
Okay. And again, how can I verify this information that you are disclosing to me today?
You can go to Frank Murphy Hall of Justice, which is the Third Circuit Court on St. Antoine, 1441 St. Antoine in Detroit, and you can get the case file of People v. Cersei. My case number is 04-12890. These are the motion that I filed pro per on July 2nd, 2016.
Now, Mr. Cersei, what prompted DeAnthony Witcher to testify against you?
He was given a deal for 3 pounds of marijuana, and he was given a deal for a firearm that he got caught with on 8 Mile and Hoover.
You received a letter from Vince's mother confessing to his involvement in your case.
I received a letter from Vince's mother August 22nd, 2015, while he was incarcerated at Alger Correctional Facility in Muniston, Michigan, in level 4.
How did you find out that Latasha Boatwright and Kimberly Jeffries were paid to testify against you?
In 2005, Judge Timothy Kinney appointed state investigators John Good Iverson investigation to obtain an affidavit from Harvey Richards. In his affidavit, Harvey Richards disclosed that Latasha Boatwright and Kimberly Jeffries Stringers were paid in exchange for their testimony against me.
Mr. Cersei, is there anything else that you would like to add?
I will ask that the Attorney General conduct an independent investigation into my case. For one, the lying to my jury affected the purpose of my case. And both firearms that was on my case, Kevin Reed and David Punch, were found liable for falsifying ballistic evidence in multiple homicide cases. I also would like for the viewers and listeners of this audio conversation to go to thevoiceofdetroit.net to verify my trial transcripts, documents for my evidentiary hearing, and exhibits that show cover-up in Wayne County when it's surrounding my case.
Thank you, Mr. Cersei, for your time today.
You have 1 minute remaining.